over toward Wadesboro, starting to see that rainfall let up a little bit, but that big area of circulation still drifting off to the north through the Carolinas at this point, and going to continue to take some time before it clears the area. Still underneath a tornado watch until 6 o'clock for all of the counties shaded in red. That does include Mecklenburg County, Cabarrus County, and areas east. As we go through the day and into the evening hours, we'll likely see that shaved off as we head into the afternoon hours, but still going to be watching for that threat. Here's what it looks like on Futurecast. You can see that lifting in, and even some sunshine trying to work in as we head through the afternoon and evening for today. So we'll continue to keep a close eye on this as we go through the next little bit, but we're going to continue to monitor all of these impacts as we go through the morning.
I'm here. Bring it on over. We're getting some new information in, and we want to get you up to speed on some of the information that we're getting out of Burke County and other places across our area. But for now, I want to show you that we do have a tornado watch, and I want to switch over to Max 2. Let's take it full here, and then we're going to look at the radar because we have something that we want to investigate and check out here. So we're going to take you over to the First Alert Doppler Radar Network. I have joining with me now Chief Meteorologist Al Conklin, and of course Eric Garlick here, and we're going to switch it over to our radar, and we want to take you up to Burke County and show you what's going on here. Actually, we're going to stop the radar, and Al, do you want to chime in here?
Yeah, I can. I don't have a microphone on right now, but Chris White, who is with Burke County Emergency Manager, is saying that there is a tornado on the ground in Burke County. Now, there is no warning out for Burke right now for a tornado. So I'm just trying to figure out where this is going right now. So we're sort of trying to just find out if that is in fact true. It doesn't look like from what we're seeing here, and that's really far away from the deep convection. But you know, we'll take it for what it is right now. He's saying it is west of Morganton at Fernwood Drive, moving towards Glen Alpine. So there's Glen Alpine. This is all right along 40 and 70, just right there at US 70. So this would be coming out of Morganton towards the western part of the county. So right now, what's the source on that? So is what they're asking here. So we will see if this is, you know, if there's some truth to this. Right now, we're trying to sort out the details on this. Don't see anything that really looks all that shocking or surprising to us. You're looking at it as we are, but we're gonna see if we can get some clarification on this right now. But again, this is a report that we're getting from Burke County. So we will let you know what we find out on that. We know there are some responders out that way, so there may be something going on there. But as soon as we find out at this moment, if you're in Burke County, there is no warning for this. So again, we will monitor that situation, and we'll get back to you on this, and we're going to send it back to Alex and Mary at the desk.
Very active developing scene there, Al, and so we will keep that updated. In fact, they've had several water rescues in Burke County overnight, and they, as many others, have been dealing with power outages as well. In fact, there are well over 1 million outages between Duke Energy and our electric cooperatives in both Carolinas.
For context here, we've been monitoring the outage maps for several hours now, starting around 3 a.m., and we've continued to see the outage numbers climb throughout the morning. We pulled up the Duke Energy outage map here for you to look at. If you take a look at the map, it is widespread across the Carolinas. More than 1 million customers without power, just talking about Duke Energy customers.
Yeah, Alex, that doesn't even include the co-ops. If I can give you perspective, when we came on the air at 4 a.m., there were about 100,000 outages for Duke Energy in all of the Carolinas. As Alex just said, this is over 1 million outages now, and we know that the wind and the rain has really picked up in the last several hours, and you can see it reflected in these outage maps. We're watching the co-ops too, as we've been telling you throughout the morning. They're seeing a similar story. We know they've had 387,000 in South Carolina customers without power. That is something that we've continued to watch for you. North Carolina co-op seeing fewer outages, but still many, tens of thousands of outages for them as well. We're going to talk live to Duke Energy here on the air coming up in just a couple of minutes here to get an idea of what this response is going to look like for their crews. Another big story we have been following is the mandatory evacuation out of Northwest Charlotte.
We know these started as voluntary evacuations in some communities. In Northwest Charlotte, though, they turned some of those evacuation orders to mandatory. Naomi Coles has been following this. She's been in the Mountain Island Lake area. Naomi, kind of tell us where you are now and what you've seen.
Alex, I want to show you exactly why there's a mandatory evacuation notice for this area. We are right on the edge of that, and look over here. This is the reason why officials are telling people if you live along Lake Drive, along Riverside Drive, along Riverhaven Drive, along parts of Hart Road, you should be leaving. The people who live in these houses, they're probably not going to be able to get out. And this is the kind of water that every official will tell you, do not drive through that water. Turn around, don't drown. You've heard that all morning long, and this is why. And we're going to slowly pan over. You're going to be able to see the Catawba River over here on your right. This is where all this water is coming from. We're now downstream of Mountain Island Lake area. This is rushing water. This is very deep water. In fact, just a few minutes ago, as my photographer and I were looking at this, we saw an entire tree just floating down through this Catawba River. Again, this is along Lake Drive. I want to pull up now a map of the evacuation zone, this mandatory evac that officials have put out. Again, as I mentioned, it includes 4 different roads. People who live along these roads are encouraged to get out, to stay out of that area of danger. There is a shelter set up along Tuskegee Road for people. There's nurses there and other Red Cross staff. We've, just as we've been looking around this area, we've seen people don't have power. We've seen people, we're looking at different line crews get it out and working on stuff. I'm also looking at this jet ski over here that's just kind of floating around. It looks like they have it tied up pretty well. But again, just wrapping up here, mandatory evac along the Mountain Island and parts of the Mountain Island Lake area. This is why the water is just completely covering the road in places. We'll keep you updated on that throughout the morning.
All right, Naomi, thank you. It's a good time to remind you to make sure you have the WBTV weather and news apps. They are both going to update you throughout the morning. This will take you to your app store so you can do that and make sure you're updated with the very latest on what's happening in your neighborhood.
We know those updates come from the First Alert Weather Team. They have been hard at work this Friday morning and really all week long leading up to this point. Let's bring in meteorologist Eric Garlick.
Yeah, still tracking that very heavy rainfall, those strong gusty winds, and that flooding threat is going to continue, especially out across the high country and areas still dealing with the rain. But the good news is we do have some dry air starting to work into our viewing area and eventually into Mecklenburg County, and we're going to start to see our rain rates dropping. We'll start to see that flash flooding threat drop out across Mecklenburg County, but the heavy rain is going to continue to be persistent out across the areas upstream, so we'll have to turn our threats to river flooding, especially as we head into the weekend. Of course, we'll cover all of that tornado threat, that tornado watch that we are still watching across the area. That'll come up in just a bit.
She worked her way up.
I had a summer job at McDonald's.
He was born there.
I'm very rich.
Million customers around the Carolinas are without power right now because of Helene.
Heavy wind, heavy rain, it's knocked down countless power lines, caused a lot of these outages that folks are dealing with right now. We have Logan Stewart with Duke Energy joining us live over the phone right now. Logan, good morning.
Good morning.
Let's start, Logan, because we know this number, we've watched it climb significantly over the past few hours. What really is the biggest obstacle for crews right now?
Yeah, I'll be honest, the number of customers out, it's actually quadrupled since about 5 a.m. And we all saw that powerful, the winds, the rain, which has died down a little bit. For Duke Energy, the challenge is we can't send our employees and to be honest, employees from other utilities who are here helping us out to work when the conditions are bad, because we obviously, customer safety is first, employee safety is first. And so we want to keep those men and women safe when they're out there working in the field. And so I think now that some of that weather has passed, we're going to finally be able to deploy them out. And so you'll start to see some of that work happening now. But we did have a little bit of a pause this morning as a lot of that storm was coming through.
Logan, you mentioned the outage numbers quadrupling. Mary and I have been checking the numbers throughout the morning as well, and we've seen that sharp rise. Is this what you guys anticipated in terms of sheer number of outages?
We knew it was going to be high, probably not this high, but again, we say this with every storm, we just never know what it's going to bring. And I think this storm is a little bit different, just because high winds, just tons and tons of rain, and it's kind of taking a weird track up towards the mountains. So there's just a lot of elements with this, but our Duke Energy meteorologists, they monitor the storm 24 hours a day. They monitor weather for us. And so they gave us a pretty good idea of what was going to happen. And so we were able to bring in some of our mutual assistance crews, and that is crews that are not Duke Energy. They're crews from out of state. They work for other utilities. And we are staging them, or did stage them, I should say, starting yesterday out at Charlotte Motor Speedway. And I talked to a group from Texas. They're very excited to be here. And, they come and help us out in times of need, and we do the same for them. It's a great program. So we're excited to have 10,000 resources staged across the Carolinas ready to go. So they're going to get out and start that work today. And then, as we start to see really where the big impacts are, we'll be able to move some of those resources around to different communities.
Logan, just watched it pop up to 1.15 million outages now. So you said those crews are stationed there, at the Motor Speedway. What's the response actually look like? Do you start right close by, or how do they determine where to go when you have this many outages?
That's a great question. So Duke Energy does have a process by which we restore power, and we're going to start with some of the critical infrastructure, that we just need in our communities. So that's hospitals, police stations, 911 centers, water treatment facilities, and making sure they're back online. And then we'll look at our own big infrastructure, so big transmission lines, large main distribution lines that serve a lot of customers, substations, because those areas are critical to kind of get the power back for a lot of customers at one time. And so from there, we work down into our more residential areas, residential distribution lines. So just because you don't see us out in your neighborhood right away, it doesn't mean we're not working on your power. We may just be working on it somewhere else.
Logan Stewart with Duke Energy, thank you for that perspective. We are thinking of your linemen and your crews and those assisting Duke Energy crews that are in the field, and we appreciate all they are going to do and all they already are doing to help us get the lights back on.
Yeah, we really appreciate it, Logan. You stay safe as well. We know Duke Energy relies on their meteorologists. Here at home, we rely on our meteorologists and the First Alert Weather Team when it comes to a big storm like this.
We do. So let's get over to meteorologist Eric Garlick. Eric, I know we're really determined that all of this, like she said, was about wind factors. It was when they can send their crews out. Are the winds dying down at all?
They're still looking at some wind gusts upwards of 52 miles an hour at the airport. So over the next hour or two, I really think we'll start to transition more into the 40s, and then this afternoon into the 20s and 30s, and finally get a break from that wind. But still dealing with that extensive flooding threat. Look at all of these white polygons. Those are all for flash flood warnings with considerable threat tags included in that. So a very significant flooding threat still out across the high country, and part of that is because we still got a lot of rainfall coming down. These oranges and reds indicating rainfall rates 1 to 2 inches per hour, if not more, and we're seeing that set up over areas that have had a ton of rainfall, so the flooding threat going to continue to be with us. Taking a look here, here's Boone, Lenore, back toward Linville Falls, over toward Hickory and Taylorsville, all starting to see that heavy rainfall continue in that area. But we are starting to see some drier air working in, rain letting up Monroe, Ansonville, Wadesboro. That'll eventually filter into Mecklenburg County, but you can see this moisture still trying to wrap around the center of circulation, which is just west of Greenville, and that's going to continue to produce that heavy rainfall threat out across West Meck into Gaston and Gastonia and up toward Lincolnton as well. So flood watch goes until 8 o'clock this evening. We do have a tornado watch for all the counties shaded in red, including Mecklenburg County, until 6 o'clock this evening. You can see some of that very heavy rainfall persisting as we head through about midday up in the high country. Still some rain possible here in Charlotte, but I think we'll see some sunshine and some calmer winds as we head through the afternoon. There's those rain chances dropping off as we head into the afternoon. Look at that wind gust, still 52 miles an hour at the airport, 43 miles an hour in Gastonia as well as Hickory. Starting to see some lesser numbers up toward Albemarle and Salisbury at this time. Those winds will eventually die down as we head into the evening. For a look at the weekend forecast, let's go over to meteorologist Alicia Wilson, who's been keeping an eye on that this morning as well. Alicia?
That's right, Eric. We've been keeping a close eye on the storm reports and also the weekend forecast as well. I want to show you just one of those storm reports that we had out of Midland, where a tree fell near the intersection of River Road and Renee Ford Road there. That was earlier this morning. Of course, we've had several reports of flooding and also seeing some wind reports as well across our area. As Eric mentioned earlier, we still have an ongoing flash flooding event that's happening across portions of the mountains and the foothills and even across Mecklenburg County. But we are expecting this system to get out of our area just in time for the weekend. So both Saturday and Sunday, we'll see a mix of sunshine and clouds, and those temperatures will stay into the lower 80s. Looking good for the Panthers game as they take on the Cincinnati Bengals on Sunday at 1 o'clock. And in your First Alert 7-day forecast, we are going to see continued warmth with high temperatures into the lower 80s and minimal chances for rain as we wrap up the weekend and head towards next week.
Live look from our HD tower cam on this Friday morning. Our special coverage of now Tropical Storm Helene is going to continue.
Stay with us. We are glad you're tracking the storm with us here at WBTV. Been deadly in the Charlotte area. It was just around 6:30 this morning that a tree fell on a home on Brookway Drive, killing one person and seriously injuring another person. It all happened in this neighborhood near the Brookshire and I-85. And according to medic, they were able to rescue others from that home. There were children inside of the home at the time. We're told they are okay, but again, just heartbreaking news to know that we have had a fatality related to the storm.
Absolutely gut-wrenching and awful to hear that. We will continue to track this storm. We know it is definitely going to impact travel today, of course, on the roadways, but also in the skies. This is a live look at the departure flight board at Charlotte Douglas International. Yeah, look at all the red there. A lot of canceled flights, delays as well. According to FlightAware, more than 290 cancellations today, more than 410 delays. Of course, much of the southeast dealing with this storm.
This is crazy. I don't think I ever seen it get up like this.
Yeah, look at this rising water. It's been a problem since prior to Helene's arrival in our area. A viewer sent us this video from Lawndale in Cleveland County. You can see just how high the creek levels have risen there, and of course it's only going to get worse as the morning progresses.
Please remember, if you can safely do so, send us video or pictures. We've been trying to share those with you right here on air as you see it. We want to bring it to other viewers in our area, again, safely. So make sure you head to the WBTV News app or click on WBTV.com, the news tab, and just head to submit us your photos. You can see some uploaded right there. We'll share them throughout the day. Let's get over to meteorologist Eric Garlick. Eric?
Starting to see some of that drier air work into our far southeastern counties. Eventually, we'll see that overtake parts of Mecklenburg County, and we're going to see some sunshine by the end of the day. But we're still dealing with that massive flooding threat from Greenville back up toward Boone and all of our foothill and high country counties. We'll be watching this closely as the morning continues. We'll have more on that coming up in just a bit. Let's get you out the door. Naya, traffic?
Yeah, it's still busy out there. We see a lot of things that are happening. Not a lot of crashes, more like trees down, power lines down in many parts of our viewing area that I'm going to go over next. I-77, if you're heading northbound near Lakeview, there is currently a crash there.
All right, giving you this live look. It just continues to get more ominous over the Queen City here, where you can see that rain coming down and really the wind picking up from our HD tower cab.
Yeah, just a very dreary shot. I was trying to look closely at the John Belk right now. There are some cars out there. Hopefully, a lot of people stayed home today, though. If you do have to be out and about for whatever reason, please, please, please be careful and try to take it slow out there on the main roads.
We'll be bringing you the latest updates when we come back after the break.
Ready? It's happening now through Monday at Rooms to Go. Pick from beautiful rooms, each under $1,000. Picture it, your home fully furnished in your style, with living rooms under $1,000.
Charlotte Metro.
That's right, and that means our First Alert weather team has been busy. So we want to get to meteorologist Eric Garlick and Alicia Wilson. They've been both standing by with the latest on what you need to know for this storm.
Yeah, good morning, Mary. We're continuing to watch the impacts from Helene as it moves up to the north and northwest at this point. We do have a tropical storm warning still in effect for all of these counties until 2 o'clock this afternoon. Flooding rains, very strong winds gusting upwards of 50 miles an hour, all possible. Also the possibility for some tornadoes across the area as well. Tornado watch goes into effect, or is in effect until 6 o'clock tonight. Look at all of the white lines. That's indicating where we have flash flood warnings and of the considerable nature. So there's the bottom tier flash flood warning, and then the next threat is considerable. So as that threat increases, and then from there it goes to flash flood emergency, and we've had a couple of those out across the mountain counties already this morning because of all the flooding rains that we've had and are continuing to have. Just a few tornado warnings off to the east of us, and that tornadic line will likely lift up through Winston-Salem and into Raleigh, but we're starting to see some drier air filter in and get ingested into the system, and that's going to help things out in Mecklenburg County, but unfortunately still dealing with some of that very heavy rainfall. Look at all the oranges and reds. This is all going to filter up toward Boone and Hickory yet before this is all said and done. Look closely, you can see a few lightning strikes right near 64 and 40 this morning. And as we head over toward Albemarle, Ansonville, Wadesboro, there's that dry air that I was talking about starting to get filtered into the system and starting to eat away at those rainfall totals here in at least southeastern and southern Meck. But back toward Columbia, starting to see some of that drier air. Now this will rotate through, and we'll still have the chance for a few showers as we head through the afternoon, as you can see here on Futurecast. But the bulk of the rain going to stay off to the north and west of us, up into the high country. Unfortunately, that's where it's going to stay through the early afternoon hours before finally starting to see things let up as we head into the evening. With a little bit closer check at things as we head through the future, we'll be taking a close look at that. But let's go to meteorologist Alicia Wilson with more on what's ahead over the next couple of days and what's already happened. Alicia?
That's right, Eric. You know, we are continuing to track some of these storm reports that are coming in across our area. Of course, we've got the wind damage reports, but you're starting to see more flooding reports across portions of Gaston County. It's along the Gaston-Cleveland County border there, and also a little bit farther north once you get into Cabarrus County there. I can't go through all of these, but I'll zoom in a little bit closer here, and you can see how there's been a report near, let's see, Stowe Road there. It's closed due to water overflowing a bridge there, and we go a little bit farther towards the south and east where a tree fell on a house near the intersection of River Road and Renee Ford Road there in Midland. So these reports are continuing to trickle in. We'll give you more updates as we go throughout the morning here and into the early afternoon hours. But looking at the big picture there, we still have a bit of a ways to go as we look at the remnants of Helene start to push off towards the northwest. This is going to be an ongoing thing, at least for the early morning hours. And as Eric just mentioned, as we get towards the afternoon, we will see some gradual clearing. We're going to keep a close eye on these storms embedded in this rain band out to our east there, as that could cause a problem later on during the mid-morning hours. But overall, we're looking at our chances for rain and thunderstorms decreasing later on today.
Alicia, thank you. Yep, some breaking news right now because that storm has not yet cleared out. This is in Rowan County. Take a look at this video that was sent to us by former WBTV reporter David Wisnett. This is the 500 block of Statesville Boulevard. We're told all lanes are closed out there on Statesville Boulevard. We're working to get more information about exactly what happened out there. It looks like off in the distance a tree could be down. We've seen that as a problem throughout the Charlotte metro area and our surrounding counties today. If you or someone you know is heading towards this area in Iredell County, you might want to find a different route. As soon as we get new information about this, we'll let you know. Again, that's Statesville Boulevard shut down right now.
Also keeping you updated because we know many of you have lost power. Some of you may have gotten it back, but man, we already went up again. 1.16 million customers for Duke Energy alone without power. A large portion of those in and around the Charlotte area. And so you can just see how much work these power crews have before them once we can get the wind gusts down later this afternoon.
Yeah, those outages just widespread across the Carolinas. The co-ops have also been dealing with those outages as well. Hundreds of thousands of people who have that co-op supplied power also in the dark this morning. We're working to travel throughout the area right now. We've got a team of reporters working very hard out in the elements to cover this storm.
Our Mary Calkins has been live really since we came on the air at 4 a.m. Mary, you have some more rising water there behind you. Tell us where you are and what you're seeing at this hour.
Yeah, for sure, Mary and Alex. So we're in the Cramerton area right now in Gaston County. We've seen the South Fork of the Catawba River, we have seen that water level significantly increasing out here. I want to show you guys just how high the water level is. This area is usually pretty grassy all the way down, but the fire department, they've actually blocked off this walkway because you can see it's just a few steps until you are totally just walking in water. If you look down towards the end, that's actually a seating area, but those chairs are also submerged. I also want to show you a little over to the left. I think the trees, that really shows how high that water is. Again, that's usually just a grassy area, obviously, with trees growing. But now the water level has risen so high, you can see this area is not usable. We also know we've had a few different viewers actually come up to us since we've been standing here to tell us about Riverside Drive. That's a place we took you to about an hour ago. The water level rising over there in front of homes. We have some roads blocked off here in the Cramerton area as well. So do remember that if you drive up to super high water, we've been telling you all morning, we tell you all the time, you want to turn around. You do not want to drive your car through high water levels, of course. We also know here in the Cramerton area, we've seen that a lot of the traffic lights are out. So if you pull up and you realize the traffic lights aren't working, you want to treat that like a four-way stop, of course. We've also seen a lot of different crews out here. We've seen line workers out here as well. So we're going to continue taking you to different spots in this area. But for now, reporting live in Gaston County, Mary Calkins, WBTV on your side.
Mary, thank you. Want to get to some new images coming into the newsroom. Monroe police have posted some pictures on Facebook. This image shows a tree that fell on top of a car. They say this is on Maurice Street. Officers say power lines are down in that area. They're closing Maurice Street from Wolf Pond Road to Hamilton Street. That's going to be closed the rest of the day.
Video we've been seeing out of Blowing Rock this morning where the winds have really been rocking those trees and the rain sideways because of all of that wind. And viewers there telling us that their homes have felt like they are shaking because of how powerful those wind gusts have been in the high country. As we continue our coverage of Helene this morning, we're getting more context on what the storm can teach us for the future.
A former administrator for FEMA who now lives in Hickory says Helene is a lesson in preparedness and not just for folks who live near the water.
The biggest reminder is that hurricanes are not just coastal events. I mean, here I am, an hour north of Charlotte, North Carolina, and Hickory, North Carolina. I'm in Hickory, and we've been seeing rainfall and high winds since yesterday, flooding in the North Carolina mountains as Helene was well offshore.
Yeah, we know they've been hit hard up there in the foothills as well. Another good bit of news from him is that FEMA seems to be ahead of the storm's impact, according to him, and is in a good spot to respond to most issues.
He does say, though, the Tampa area saw its highest storm surge in decades, which is a wake-up sign for people who live along the coastline for those evacuation plans. Let's get back here at home because we want to bring you this live image here from King Street in Boone.
Whoa!
Look how high this water has gone up there as you are trying to get down through the downtown area. Of course, that truck should have turned around. We don't want anybody going through those higher waters, but we're watching the water rise on that truck there parked on King Street, really above the tires at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. And you said it. I mean, turn around, don't drown. That's the old slogan we always hear folks say. Let's bring in meteorologist Eric Garlick right now. We've seen that situation in different parts of the area this morning.
And unfortunately, that's not the worst flooding that we're seeing. A lot of the high country where we don't have cameras and you can't see, dealing with some catastrophic flooding across that areas, historic flooding going on there. And you can see on radar, that's where the bulk of the heavy rainfall is, west of I-77 up toward the high country, I-40, and that area off to the north and west as well. So we're going to continue to watch that. So we're going to...
New flash flood warning, Ash, Watauga.
And we're just seeing a new flash flood warning coming in for Ash, Watauga, and Avery County as well. So we'll be watching these closely as they continue to come in. That flooding threat going to continue to persist.
Eric, thank you. It's 9:39 on this Friday morning. Our special coverage of now Tropical Storm Helene continues this morning.
Yeah, continue to send us those pictures and videos. We're getting them in, working to turn them around and show you here at home. Stay with us. More is next.
We're getting flooding coming off more than likely a Howard's Knob. There isn't a river that necessarily runs right through downtown Boone. There are obviously a lot of creeks in that area, but Howard's Knob is just off towards the right of this picture, and you can see how the water is flowing right down King Street. That's at Depot Street. If you know this area, that is right in front of the Mass General Store, the annex there. So really tough going right now. We're seeing quite a bit of flooding in that area, and the heavy rain is really concentrating across the mountains and the foothills right now. Less so in Charlotte. It seems to be fading some here in Charlotte, but you can see where the heaviest of the rain is now from Lincoln, Catawba, Iredell, and points northward and westward. South of us, not so much. So right now, Boone, Blowing Rock, you're all getting into that rain, as is Wilkesboro, Taylorsville, down towards Morganton. All right, we'll have your complete first alert weather forecast coming up just a couple minutes. Want to send it over to Nia Harden for look traffic.
Sponsored by Toyota of North Charlotte. Al, I am taking a look right now at some work that is happening on I-85 with the road obstruction. We are looking at basically stop traffic 2 miles per hour on I-85 southbound near NC7, not too far from New Hope, due to some type of road obstruction that is happening over there. You can see the amount of red showing you that back up there, and then as you notice folks trying to get through it, it still starts to slow up. Now, here's the thing that is really interesting, because I got these within just a few minutes apart from one another. I-85 northbound, this is near Kings Mountain, Bessemer City Road. Also another road obstruction there. Not sure exactly what it is. Now, we're not seeing any traffic heading that way, but I do want you to know that this is just something we're seeing as folks are being out. I've got trees down. I have also been looking at power lines down due to this. And so as you are out and about, I do want you to know, if you have to leave, which we hope you do not, you can see a lot of these roadways are really clear. A lot of folks staying home today. Just make sure that you are watching before you head out the door, and we will keep you updated.
Yeah, so much happening on the roadways, Naya, and the rising floodwaters have continued to be a concern in and around our area.
In the Mountain Island Lake area specifically, we know they had voluntary evacuations. Those evacuations then became mandatory orders for some folks who live in the Riverside Drive area.
And Naomi Coles has been there. She told us as soon as they went to mandatory evacuations. Naomi, bring us up to speed of where things stand right now.
Well, up to speed is that I'm now on Lake Drive. I'm standing underneath a house, and I'm standing next to Eric Jenderson. He is a homeowner here on Lake Drive. Tell me why we're standing under your house.
It's a better idea. Back in 2019, the river achieved a level just about the top of your head.
Top of my head.
So the house that we had here, which was on the ground, was completely flooded, and we were wiped out entirely. We opted to save the property and just rebuild, so we built 12 feet up, just in case this ever happened again, not believing it really would be allowed to.
Happening again brings us to now. How would you contrast 2019 versus what we're seeing right now?
Right. Well, the river level, which we don't know how high this is going to get. It's been forecast to get maybe even 3 feet higher than it was, which would make us still safe. But in 2019, 42 houses along here were flooded, and many of them completely wiped out. The other thing to keep in mind is that in 2019, when it got to that level, there were boats and pontoon boats and trees and such floating down the river and taking out docks and creating a domino effect that created sort of a flotilla of detritus that was moving down the river and taking out docks.
What is your escape plan right now if the water gets too high?
The escape plan is a kayak and a canoe to our vehicles that are on high ground.
And what about your neighbors? Are your neighbors evacuating?
I think all the neighbors have evacuated, yeah.
So you're here alone?
We're here alone.
All right, well, that's Eric Jenderson again here on Lake Drive. Check the map, check online, make sure, again, you have a safety plan. You've got a way to, flee the floodwaters. In his case, his house is above them, so he's good here. Meanwhile, back to you.
Naomi, thank you. Thinking about Eric there, bringing in meteorologist Elise Wilson and Chief Meteorologist Al Conklin. You were standing not too far from there just yesterday.
I was there yesterday with our Claire Cropsby reporting. Now, here's the thing. Duke has said all along that the crest of this isn't going to happen until this afternoon.
Right.
So they're okay right now, but that doesn't mean it's going to stay that way. I mean, they're forecasting 110 feet, and right now it's at 103.7. So they got a ways to go.
And it just keeps raining, right?
It keeps raining. I was going to say, he's got major stilts. Some of the homes out there are still not up like that.
That's a problem. So.
Right, and farther north and west, we just had a newly flash flood warning issued for Watauga County, also Allegheny County, Wilkes County there. So it's just ongoing. That rain just keeps coming.
And all that rain's got to come down the chain. So let's get over there right now. And you can see here what we got going on this morning. So there we have it. The rain just continues to come down across the mountains, and that's the biggest issue right now. We also have some watches and warnings here. I want to take you on over and show you what we're dealing with here early this morning. Here's the heaviest of the rain. It's coming up across the mountains right now. Now, we're still getting rain in Charlotte, but it's relatively light compared to what's going on in other places. You can see here, that's why we're getting so many flood warnings here. Look at the lightning popping up. We're getting water running through the streets across Boone, Blowing Rock, that extends down towards Statesville, Hickory, Newton, Conover. Now, to the east of us, it's not quite so heavy at the moment. We're getting a bit of a break here just to the east of Charlotte, but look where these big thunderstorms are starting to line up, and there are all kinds of tornado warnings that are starting to fly between Raleigh and Wilmington. We think that our viewing area is on the edge of the tornado threat. It looks like it's primarily going to be to the east of us. Winds are still gusting. Look at this, 53 miles per hour. So with the ground being saturated, it is highly likely we will continue to see trees come down, which means, of course, more power outages, and that's going to be a problem. The heaviest of the rain, though, is going to lift northward as we go into the afternoon hours. We will get some sunshine. We will start to see improvement, but the flood situation is only going to slowly improve. In fact, it may get worse, particularly in areas on the main rivers, such as the Catawba and South Fork, for a while yet to come. All right, let's look for some better news. Maybe the weekend will hold that. Alicia Wilson's got more on that.
That's right, Al. Even by this afternoon, we're looking at better conditions, so to speak, as we get some gradual clearing as Helene starts to, or the remnants of Helene starts to push farther towards the north and west. You can see how our rain chances really start to go down later on this afternoon and this evening. But all throughout the mid-morning hours, right into the early afternoon hours, we'll still be dealing with some moderate to heavy rainfall, especially across portions of the mountains and the foothills. Now, looking ahead to the weekend and next week, we're just looking at chances for isolated showers. This weekend, we will get some peaks of sunshine here and there, so a mix of sunshine and clouds both for Saturday and Sunday, with temperatures starting out into the 60s both mornings, and towards the afternoon hours, we will warm into the lower 80s. That's going to spell some great weather for the Panthers game as they take on the Bengals on Sunday at 1 o'clock. And as far as your 7-day forecast goes, we've got the first alert weather day for today, but none ahead so far. So we'll keep it here. We'll keep you posted. We'll be right back.
It's almost furnace season,
even if it doesn't feel like it.
When it comes to your furnace,
we don't mess around.
Mr. Jenkins told me
your furnace is a controlled fire burning in your home.
Let us make sure it's safe
before you turn it on
with an $89 safety check.
Before and after. Before and after. If you have a before kitchen, now's the time to call Kitchen Saver and get a beautiful after. With our custom cabinet renewal process, you can have a brand new kitchen within 3 to 5 days. We're so confident in our products that we'll back it all, labor and materials, with our 10-year limited warranty. Claim our special offer and become a satisfied customer today.
Prepare to be impressed. Kitchen Saver.
One night, one stage, Billy Joel and Sting. Saturday, May 10th. Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte. Pre-sale for City Card members Monday at 10 a.m. through Thursday at 10 p.m. Public on sale Friday at 9 a.m. at Ticketmaster. Saturday, May 10th. Don't miss Billy Joel and Sting.
You're ready for a solution to tooth loss, but dentures disappoint and expensive implants aren't for you. A breakthrough option is here. Aspen.
As a result of their foundations being undermined from the soil.
Durability and security of implants with the affordability of dentures in an easy, convenient process. Don't go another day wishing you could confidently eat the foods you love. A permanent, more secure answer to tooth loss is within reach. Implant dentures, now from Aspen Dental. Call or go online to make your appointment today.
Get ready for the all-new Athleta Presents Gold Over America Tour. Join Simone Biles and America's best gymnasts for a night of action-packed gymnastics. October 9th at Spectrum Center. Fun for the whole family. You and your kids will love this high-energy spectacle. Music, lights, breathtaking flips, and Gold Squad dancers. Let's GOAT! October 9th at Spectrum Center. Tickets on sale now at goldoveramericaTour.com.
My husband and I are going through IVF treatments now. It could be our only chance to have a family. But Donald Trump's plan could ban IVF in some states. My husband is in the military. He volunteered to serve. We are patriots and we go where he is assigned. What if we end up in a state where IVF is no longer legal? What will we do then?
I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
That's it, Jamar. Looking like a tank. We're coming for ya.
Yeah, get him, Greg. Show that bedbug who's boss. That's it.
We're training hard to continue to provide quality and lasting pest control protection to your home or business. Visit Cleggs.com to schedule your free inspection and get $39 off initial general pest services.
Let's roll.
Wait. Don't do it. If you're thinking about turning your furnace on,
Stop.
You need a safety check. Furnaces that have been checked by Morris Jenkins run better.
and live longer.
Schedule an $89 safety check with Morris Jenkins.
We're here till midnight.
We continue to track the flooding and the high winds that now Tropical Storm Helene has brought to our area.
Right now we're taking a live look in Asheville. This is Buncombe County, of course. The city was already dealing with flooding before the storm arrived, and now they could see historically high water levels.
Yeah, the water just continuing to go up. According to NOAA, the river is expected to reach major flood stage tonight at 21 feet. The record dates back to 1895 at just over 23 feet. First responders say they're also very concerned about landslides in the county there.
As a result of their foundations being undermined from the soil saturation and the other events that cause that and the shifting of the ground, yes, we're absolutely very concerned about building collapses and landslides. We're talking a record-breaking storm, and we won't see this again in our lifetime. So our people here are going to live through some tough times tonight, the next days, and as we move forward.
Yeah, from Asheville to right here at home. Please go ahead and scan that QR code there on your screen to take you to the free WBTV News app. We're updating you as soon as we get new information in.
Let's toss it over to meteorologist, or Chief Meteorologist Al Conklin. Oh, you guys are all over the place over there.
We had been on the air since 4 o'clock this morning, so it's understandable, Alex. All right, hey, this morning we're still looking at this heavy rain. This is the Appalachian State University campus in Hickory. You see the rain continuing to come down. Very wet there on 321. Look at the thunderstorms just blossoming here across our mountain counties north of I-40, so flood warnings continue. Rain is lessening some in Charlotte, and it looks like the severe weather risk is really starting to bypass us now towards the east. And we think our our tornado watch may be lowered for the Charlotte area. We'll keep you posted on that coming up in just a couple of minutes.
All right, Al, thank you. And we're getting this live picture here from King Street in Boone. I've heard folks say they've never seen the water that high down King Street.
I believe it. It's the first time we've seen a shot like that on King Street. You see some of those cars were trying to pass through the floodwaters. The officials say do not do that. Turn around, don't drown. Our live coverage continues.
Now is the best time to buy new Champion windows because when
weather day.
Welcome back to WBTV on this first alert weather day, and we are bringing you these live pictures from King Street in Boone because that roadway is flooded, and we are seeing images like we have not seen before. Thank you for staying with us. I'm Mary Kidd.
And I'm Alex Giles. Yes, we definitely appreciate you sticking with us on today of all days. You saw the high water levels on that main street, King Street up there in Boone. The high country has really been hit hard, but really across the Carolinas. Folks have seen a lot of wind and a lot of rain this morning.
We've been with you for 6 hours now here on the air. Chief Meteorologist Al Conklin, Eric Garlick, Alicia Wilson, they've all been standing by. Chief, this storm has just continued to bring high winds and high rain to our area.
I think it's lived up to billing for sure. Unfortunately, we have had fatalities here in Charlotte because of the wind, trees falling, and of course we still continue to get gusts. Just in the last half hour, Charlotte had a gust of 54 miles per hour, so it's getting up there. Now we're still dealing with rain, and it's really the tale of two sides of the state. To the west, it's rain and heavy rain that's flooding, and to the east, it's tornadic thunderstorms that are developing. Charlotte is sort of in between. We're still getting rain, and yes, some of it is heavy still, but it's not nearly as concentrated as it was earlier this morning, and certainly not as concentrated as it is here in the mountains. This is really just terrible what's going on here. This is McDowell County, Burke, Caldwell County, all the way up to Watauga, getting extensive downpours here that go all the way down to the I-40 corridor, and this is the problem for Charlotte down the road because all this water has to come down through the Catawba chain, and that's why places like Mountain Island Lake, there's concern about flooding that's ongoing and will continue to worsen as we go through the day. Big downpours that'll be coming right down the chain. Meantime, as we look off towards the east, it's tornadic thunderstorms. We're seeing warnings now. Chatham County, also down here towards Wilmington, Brunswick, Columbus County, Horry County was under a warning here not too long ago. Still getting some rain in the Charlotte area. Again, it's relatively light compared to what we were seeing just a little bit ago, so that's good news, but the streets are still wet. There are still gusty winds. Now, what we're talking with the National Weather Service is about perhaps seeing some of these counties here closer to Mecklenburg, Cabarrus, maybe even over into Richmond, Anson, and Union, perhaps being lowered in terms of that tornadic threat because it looks like that is developing to the north and east of us. At the same time, the winds are still gusting, and this is not good news. With saturated ground, 40 to 50 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts in the mountains right now. Closer to Charlotte at the moment, they're in the 40s. But we've also got winds close to 60 in the upstate of South Carolina. So again, really strong winds that are continuing to buffet the area, and that is going to be a problem as we go through the afternoon, though they will start to come down somewhat, and we do think the heaviest of the rain will lift northward, and that will allow for some drying here, but it may be, again, too late in the game for all this flooding because this is going to be an ongoing issue. The flooding is not going to go away anytime soon, though the rain will taper down this afternoon. Eric's also been looking at that severe weather threat primarily to the east of us. Eric, I'm going to send it over to you right now in the First Alert Weather Center.
Yeah, Al, talking about that tornado watch and that tornado threat definitely higher to the north and east of us at this point from the coast up toward Greensboro into Raleigh. And Al's talking about the dry slot. That helps kind of influence a little bit of rotation in this outer band that we are seeing here. And let's focus in on this. You can see 1, 2, 3 tornado warnings. Okay, this one was allowed to expire just a moment ago, but this is what we're going to have setting up as the concern across the eastern half of the Carolinas, mainly east of 73 over toward the I-95 corridor and up toward Raleigh as well. But look at this feeder band. Look at all of the heavy rain and moisture still being pulled into the Carolinas from Helene as it continues to churn and produce some heavy rainfall up across the mountains. So all of this moisture being pulled into where the mountains is, and that's why we're seeing some of the highest rain totals and highest flooding threats across that area. This extends at least 350 miles out into the Atlantic, and that's why we're seeing some of those extreme rain totals out across the Carolinas, all from Helene as it continues to move off to the north. Nia, let's get a check of traffic this morning.
We're going to take it from here. We are working to get an update there on Naya's mic. You can see it is very active traffic-wise. Some of those roadways, major messes with trees down, flooded, and so we do want to get her update. We'll get back to her in just a moment.
We've had our crews out and about this morning. They've had to be careful on the roadways as well because of the trees that are down and because of flooding on some of the roadways. But we've been working to cover this story to bring you the latest information about what we're seeing in our community.
Our Mary Calkins has been live with us throughout the morning. She has been in Storm 3. We have learned that a tree has fallen on a home in Cramerton, and so this is a live look from that area. Our crew is actually going around the block here because they just circled around that home where we have learned that that tree fell. This is again 8th Avenue in Cramerton, and that has been a very busy scene. Our Mary Calkins going from place to place there in the Gaston County area as we have seen rising waters in that area as well. Another place that we've had our crew has been in Northwest Charlotte because we had evacuations go from voluntary to mandatory.
This is in that Mountain Island Lake area, specifically Riverside Drive, one of those streets where we know that homeowners have been told you should probably get out and go.
Let's go to Naomi Coles here. Naomi, you just, excuse me, spoke with a homeowner not too long ago. What's the latest feeling there at Mountain Island Lake?
Well, the water is rising. There's some concern. People, I'm standing right now on Lake Drive. The homes behind me are on an evacuation order. In fact, as we've been kind of hanging out here, I've seen cars pass by, and you can't see it on camera, but to my right, your left, about a couple houses down, the road is really just completely washed out. You cannot pass in a car. You cannot go through. I don't know how much water is rushing over the road. I did not go in to find out, as we've been telling you all morning long. But, you know, after past that road behind me, this house over here, and this is what's interesting here, the property owner, he was here in 2019 through just the absolute catastrophic flooding that just completely changed dozens of people's lives who live along this road. And as you can see here, he rebuilt his house to be 12 feet in the air. He told me, I spoke with him a little while ago, you heard him on the news there, that the water has risen about a foot here in the last 2 hours. And so there's some concern. He's safe. A lot of other neighbors, he said, have evacuated here. Again, we can't repeat it enough. Stay safe, have an escape plan. If you don't, do not stay at your home if the waters are rising and you don't have it 12 feet in the air like the guy behind me. Back to you.
All right, Naomi, thank you so much for that. And when we talk about rising waters, we've seen that happening in Burke County as well. They reported 2 swiftwater rescues overnight right near the Linville River. They told us they had to rescue a person from Fonta Flores housing development right near Parks Drive at NC 126, and that area is just shut down. They've had 18 roads flooded overnight. They've had 47 trees come down in that area. We also getting some new pictures that we'll bring to you here shortly because we've seen several homes that have been inundated with water in that area as well. An area that is known to flood when we see heavy storms. The last time this particular area got a lot of water, 2004, when Hurricane Francis came through the area. We want to also get you updated on the very latest when it comes to those roads that are blocked there. They say if you do come up on a barricade, to do not go around it. Turn back around yourself.
Follow the warnings, heed the warnings, make sure you turn around, don't drown. That is always the message from the first responders when there's a big storm like this. Hey, if you haven't already downloaded the First Alert Weather app or our news app, make sure you do that right now. That will let you stay up to date with everything we're bringing you on the storm, whether it's an update about a warning or a watch or something that's been put in place. You can get those alerts sent to you straight through our WBTV News app and First Alert Weather app.
Giving you a live look over uptown Charlotte. Those clouds, if you look closely, they look like they're moving pretty quick. And our chief meteorologist, Al Conklin, has been telling us that the storm is on the move, but not before it brings those high winds and these heavy rains across our viewing area.
Are you looking for more in this world? Are you ready for something bigger? Then we are looking for you. The big-hearted, the bold, the messy and the gutsy. The teachers, the growers, the builders, the change makers. We need you. We are the Peace Corps. In more than 60 countries, we go all in and all out. We are volunteers, partners, communities, working together, living together, bringing our experience, passion, and joy to building a better world together. We are powered by connection, We are driven by purpose. We open our arms, our hearts, our doors, our minds. We share freedom.
Very heavy thunderstorms to the east of us, and almost every county in our viewing area is under a flood warning right now. We have got ongoing issues on all area lakes, rivers, and creeks. Going to send it over to Naya right now. First alert traffic.
Sponsored by Toyota of North Charlotte. All right, so I wanted to get back to I-85. We've been talking about Gaston County, where there were 2 incidents with road obstructions. Well, the first one I want to talk about is I-85 southbound, where we are seeing that slowing 36 miles per hour now. Better than where it was because we saw stop and go traffic. Now getting word from Gaston County that this is going to be because a tree is down in this area. Again, a tree is down. It was blocking the freeway on I-85, and that is why they're trying to get that all cleared up. You also have I-85 northbound that is near Bessemer City Road, not too far from Kings Mountain. We are starting to see some slowing in that area, also due to some type of road obstruction. There is a tree down in Lincoln County, and this is really what we're going to be seeing in a lot of our viewing parts. US 321 northbound at Country Club Road. Northbound lanes are currently blocked because of that. And then I'm continuing to monitor what's happening in Cabarrus County. A lot of stuff popping up there. We've got Moorhead Road here that we are near Hudspeth, talking about trees, power lines down in that area. Making our way back to the Charlotte area, I wanted to just bring up as we move down to the Matthews portion here, NC 51, Pineville Matthews. Pretty popular spot, actually. You can see some slowing. Right now it's about 32 miles per hour, but I've seen stop and go all throughout the morning. And Matthews police actually wanted to warn that they do have a lot of traffic signals that are currently out, and they're asking folks just to make sure to be careful. Treat it as a 4-way stop. Just another tip, if you are driving today, make sure that you're giving distance between you and the driver in front of you.
A great warning there, Naya, and thank you for showing us some of the trouble spots this morning. Throughout the day, we've been trying to hit some of the hot spots when it comes to flooded roads or trees down in the Charlotte area.
Our Mary Calkins has been on the road, and a short time ago, we were showing you a live picture from our Storm 3 because we had a report that a tree fell on a home in Cramerton. So we want to get back out to that live picture because you're getting able to see a better view of what's going on in that area now as we turn on to the street. And we believe, I'm trying to make that out, that live picture to the left. So look to the left of your screen there at that dark blue home. That tree is leaning on that home there again on 8th Avenue.
That was a big tree too. You hate to see that, and unfortunately we've seen sites like that already this morning in Charlotte, Northwest Charlotte. We know a tree fell on a home earlier today and somebody lost their life. That's how serious these storms can be and how they can cause such damage and destruction for families throughout the metro area.
We have our Claire Kopsky joining us live now. She's speaking with Charlotte Mecklenburg Emergency Management. And Claire, yes, that storm has turned deadly here, which is heartbreaking for all of us, and I'm sure for emergency management as they track the storm.
Well, Mary, Alex, they've been working tirelessly throughout the night and will continue to this morning. I want to bring in Chief Roberts here. Chief, what have been some of these hardest hit areas that you guys have been really focusing on throughout the night?
Yeah, so first of all, good morning.
Yes.
The sun will come out. I know Al Conklin said that, so this weather system is going to move quickly out of the area, and we'll go right into recovery. And so with that, we got to make sure that we're taking care of our folks to the west. The mountains have been extremely hard hit. Here in Mecklenburg County, we have had one death, unfortunately, from the storm itself, but our firefighters and our police officers have been very busy. We've been in the Emergency Operations Center since yesterday morning. They've been running a number of calls. They got extremely busy this morning with the wind. We want to thank our residents for staying at home and staying off the roads, allowing our emergency workers to actually do what they need to be doing throughout the community. We are seeing about 100,000 outages in Charlotte, Mecklenburg County. Trees down, power lines down. We have had a few fires here and there, but also some like natural gas calls and other things that have occurred within the city. Extremely busy. We cannot do it without our partners and our volunteers. We can't do it without American Red Cross. We can't do it without Team Rubicon. All the departments from the city and the county are represented in the Emergency Operations Center. And I will tell you that our department heads and Mr. Jones, the city manager, have been very hands-on, very engaged. The fire chief was here at 5 o'clock this morning and stayed till late last night to make sure our citizens and residents are safe.
Where have you guys seen some of these biggest calls for help overnight?
So it spread throughout the community, all across the city and the county. What we are really worried about is the Catawba River and the Catawba River chain. Duke Energy has worked really hard to move water down the chain as much as they possibly could before the storm, during the storm. And as you remember, I know Al Conklin's talked about this, it's kind of like two systems. So we had the rain before the hurricane, now we're dealing with the hurricane itself. But this morning, overnight, yesterday, and into the coming days, we're going to be worried about the Catawba River and the folks that are living alongside it.
What do you need help from the community at this point as you all continue to go in and do this work?
So I'll tell you what we need help with the community. We need them to make sure that they're supporting the folks out west because they're going to be in recovery mode for many days and many weeks. And so especially financial assistance for those, your favorite charity, please do that. They don't need things necessarily, but the financial stuff where they can make sure it's going to the most needed is going to be crucial. The second part of that is we do, because we have so much power outages, we want to make sure that people are being aware of carbon monoxide because you can't see it, you can't taste it, and you can't smell it. So make sure that if you're operating equipment, that you're well away in a ventilated space. If you don't use a chainsaw normally, don't jump in today and start thinking you're some kind of chainsaw master because you're probably not. Call the professionals. If you have any major emergency, call 911. If you have questions, call 311.
Well, Chief, thank you so much. We appreciate your time this morning, and we know they're going to be continuously monitoring this as the storm continues to go through this morning. Al and Mary, we'll send it back to you in the studio.
Claire Kopsky live with the Emergency Management Chief. Claire, we appreciate it. Thank you for bringing us that live interview. We are following another breaking story just into the newsroom, this time from Burke County.
Yeah, we have been hearing from Assistant Emergency Management Director Chris White since 4 o'clock this morning. We've been messaging with him, and he just sent us some photos. He said he wanted to show us this. This was along Powerhouse Road. That is in the Morganton area, not too far from Lake James. The water really rising, and in a moment here, you're going to see how it flooded out the cabin. In fact, he was telling me, I just went away a moment ago, that it's his family's cabin, and so we were watching that. This is another thing that we're just getting, this coming from York Electric Cooperative.
Yeah, a pole snapped right around York County. You can see a tree hanging over Highway 274, got tangled up in those power lines. Farther down the road, that pole leaning over the highway as well. A number of emergency vehicles out there trying to get that situation under control.
Right, and we also know that we have poles down in Van Wyck as well, getting the word from York Electric on that. They've had a peak of 33,000 customers without power. They say they're just now being able to get out to certain spots to try and restore some of this power.
One of our other colleagues, Jason Puckett, he's on scene where a tree has come crashing down. Jason, tell us exactly where you are and what the situation is out there.
Yeah, Alex and Mary, good morning. We're out here in Rock Hill off Poinsett Drive. I'm going to step out of the way to show you behind us here just the amount of damage that a single tree can do to a home here. This home was responded to by York County Sheriff around 6 a.m. this morning. And as we're panning across here, you can see a large tree on the right side of the house basically fell down and took out the upper right part of this two-story home there. The tree laying on what looks to be a bed up there in that room. The actual front wall of that room is laying on the ground in front of the house there right now. And we see on the ground outside here a recliner as well well as what looks like a cage for a possible animal over here. York County Sheriff said 2 people were inside the home at the time around 6 a.m. when they responded, and we've heard from them now that those individuals are in the hospital right now being checked out and taken care of. What's kind of surreal about this is as you're driving through Rock Hill right now, there's some damage, but nothing extreme. But with this kind of weather, you can see very little in one area and then something massive and extreme like this right now. And if our photojournalist Lawrence will pan up here, I want to show you into the trees up here actually. This is the kind of tree that fell on the house. So they're surrounding these kinds of homes out here, and you can see we're still seeing a lot of wind out in this area. So this kind of damage we're likely to see more of out here. We'll keep you updated from Rock Hill as this scenario continues to develop. For now, though, here live off of Poinsett Drive, Jason Puckett, WBTV, on your side.
Just incredible damage there. And again, multiple homes. So we just showed you the one in Cramerton where a tree fell, of course, Jason's scene, and of course the deadly scene that we were seeing in Northwest Charlotte. And those are on homes. Of course, we have hundreds and hundreds of trees down all around the viewing area
We saw one in Monroe this morning that had fallen on top of a car. Somebody appeared to have been driving. So that's going to be an issue throughout the morning. And we know the flooding is also going to be a problem too.
So let's get back to the weather team as they track the timing of all of this. We've had the chief, we have meteorologist Eric Garlick, and meteorologist Alicia Wilson all with us. Right now we're going to start with the chief.
Yeah, and here's the good news for the Charlotte area is that I'm looking at these 4 cameras. This is Center City. This is looking up 74 at East Charlotte. This is Midtown, and this is Carowinds. All cloudy, all kind of gusty breezes, but what I don't see is any rain falling. That's the good news. I think the rain has appreciably come to an end in Charlotte and points towards the south and east. However, that doesn't mean the flood risk has mitigated, because as we've heard from the emergency managers a moment or two ago here, is that the flood warnings are active because there's ongoing rain upstream, and all of this has to filter down. And so this is going to be an ongoing issue. It's not, hours, it's probably days, especially when we talk about the big rivers, the South Fork, the Catawba, such as that, Rocky River. So just be mindful of that. Meantime, again, though, what little bit of rain we still have is very light in the metro area. It's heaviest up to the north of us. We've got a new tornado warning here north of Greensboro. That's up there towards Rockingham County. So that's going to go right over towards Martinsville and up into the Virginia area away from us. But the bigger story for us is the rain north and west. So again, Charlotte's okay, but you can see a lot of the outlying areas, particularly north, really heavy rain around Linville. And all this comes right down. The Catawba River runs right through there, down through Caldwell County, and so that's why I say all that rain that's up there is eventually going to come back down into our area. Still getting some pretty good downpours around Hickory as well, so US 70. I-40 is very much on the wet side here this morning between Claremont, Maiden, Startown, and Hickory, Newton, and Conover. Big cluster of thunderstorms here. This is really intense feeder band. It goes for hundreds of miles, and it extends from Virginia through eastern North Carolina. So that's where the risk for tornadoes really is, and you're seeing that sort of arc back towards the west, but it'll go north of us. And so, as I said, I see us improving. We may get some breaks. In fact, I'm banking on some breaks of sunshine this afternoon, and with the rain eventually dissipating even in the mountains. It's not going to go totally away. There'll be some showers certainly, but not the all-out steady rain that we have seen so much of. Wind gusts are still in that 40 to 50 mile per hour range here early this afternoon. They don't go away either. They'll still be in that 25 mile per hour range even late this afternoon into the seething. So be mindful that there may be additional trees that come down. The ground is totally saturated, so something may be leaning and you don't even know about it. It could come down very quickly. But again, I do see improving conditions here. Our rain chances are dropping off very steadily, and by afternoon they will likely be 10-20% here in the metro area. That's the good news, and I think that good news, Alicia Wilson, will continue with the trend going into the weekend, and I know you're going to cover that right now with our 7-day first alert forecast.
Thanks, Al. I'm going to take it over. Alicia catching a breath, and we're bouncing back and forth, making sure everybody gets a little bit of a break here as we bring you the latest information. Here's what it looks like on radar, though. You can see all of those heavy bands along the coast that I was talking about, bringing all the heavy moisture and heavy precip back across the high country. And Al mentioned this, all of that's got to filter back our way. So even as we see some sunshine and improving conditions, we're going to be dealing with that flooding threat. Still have that tornado watch until 6 o'clock. We're watching the potential for that to be at least a few counties to be eliminated from that tornado watch as we go through the next couple of days. We'll be watching that flooding threat areas in green underneath that flood watch through the evening as well. So things going to start to improve as we head through the day, and then as we head into the weekend, we'll see those conditions continue to improve. 82 for tomorrow, and then Sunday 82 degrees as we take a look at that 7-day forecast showing more dry air and some more fall-like temperatures coming our way as we head toward Thursday. And then next this week, looking at the potential for a few showers across the area. Mary?
Eric, thank you. Hey, we wanted to put this on your screen. There are emergency shelters open right now. We know there have been some mandatory evacuations, some voluntary, and if you need somewhere to go, they are open in Buncombe, Burke, Haywood, Henderson, Jackson, McDowell, and Yancey counties. Emergency management departments keeping us updated on this. More coverage of Helene is next.
Are you looking for more in this world? Are you ready for something bigger? Then we are looking for you. The big-hearted, the bold, the messy and the gutsy. The teachers, the growers, the builders, the change makers.
No, it's me.
We need you. We are the Peace Corps. In more than 60 countries, we go all in and all out. We are volunteers, partners, communities, working together, living together, bringing our experience, passion, and joy to building a better world together. We are powered by connection. We are driven by purpose. We open our arms, our hearts, our doors, our minds. We share freely and serve boldly. Are you ready to tackle the tough stuff? To go the distance to make a difference? Then we have a place where you belong. The Peace Corps. Join us.
Dear humans, this is an adoption campaign, but it's not for me, or Mr. Buttons, or Frank over there. It's for you, humans. This is a call to humans to adopt our movement, to adopt our cause.
This isn't just about saving one of us.
It's about saving all of us.
Thousands of lives, every single day.
It's about support for every one of us four, and sometimes not four-legged best friends, waiting to meet a best friend of our own. With Best Friends Animal Society leading the charge.
Shelter by shelter, city by city.
We can save thousands of pets each day.
Join us.
Together we can save them all.
1026 tracking Helene, and we are live in Storm 3, keeping an eye on the roadways for you.
This is down near the South Fork of the Catawba River out in Gaston County. You can see it is wet out there. Water levels very high. We knew that would be the case. First Alert Weather Team has been telling us for days now that not only the wind, but the heavy rainfall leading to flooding would be a major issue with this storm.
And our team has continued to say it. The big concern is hours from now as the rivers continue to flood because of what's north of us making its way down the rivers as well. We are still seeing rain ourselves. And as we track Helene, we've been getting videos and photos from you all morning. I want to show you a picture now from John Corner, video rather, I should say, in Huntersville. This is at the Torrance Creek Greenway. Seeing the water rise there, really murky waters. It's a good reminder that officials say don't go out in the floodwaters, but you just don't know what's beneath the surface.
And we know a lot of the kiddos either have remote learning days or no school at all. Don't let them go play in that water either. That should go without saying. Hey, in Eichard, Lance shared this photo of a tree down across the road. This is Harmony Road. This has been a big issue across both Carolinas. We've seen those strong winds bringing down a lot of big trees. We've seen houses damaged. We've seen vehicles damaged already.
This is crazy. I don't think I ever seen it get up like this.
You see this darker video here. This is some of the flooding in Cleveland County from overnight. Rising water, of course, that's been a problem out there as well. A viewer sent us this video from Lawndale. You can see just how high the creek levels were out there. Unfortunately, as you noted, Mary, this is just going to get worse.
So we are watching all of it, and we want to remind you, if you can safely send us pictures or videos, do so. You can do that on WBTV.com or through the news app. We've got more news, weather, and traffic at 10:30. Also preparing to hear from state emergency officials at 11 a.m. WBTV is your place to stay for all coverage for Helene.
At Strayer University, we've helped students reach their potential for over 130 years. With programs that empower you to get ahead and stay ahead, so you can always keep striving.
I got them AR-15s in case the government gets too big for its britches.
Because I'm going to fill the backside of them riches with lead. Go into battle and take the head of your enemy. Because it's
On 10:30, and we continue tracking Helene as it bears down on the Carolinas.
I'm Alex Giles alongside Mary King. We appreciate you sticking with us. Again, we've been on the air since 4 a.m. tracking this major storm. We know it really started to ramp up right around daybreak, bringing that wind and a lot of rain.
And because of that, we know that there's more to come, and we want to get you the very latest on what to expect. We have meteorologists Eric Garlick, Alicia Wilson, and the chief standing by, and we're going to start with Chief Meteorologist Al Conklin. Al?
All right, thanks a lot. Let's get you out there this morning, and we'll talk about here what we're seeing this morning. And first off, what I want to point out is that all these cameras here in the immediate Charlotte area, they're void of rain. That's great news. Yeah, we still have a lot of cloud cover, but again, you're seeing ice, US 74 here, Independence and East Charlotte. You're seeing down here toward Midtown. This is Carowinds on the south side, Center City. No rain falling. If we're getting any rain at all in Mecklenburg County, it's generally sprinkles and nothing all that heavy, and that is the good news here as we go into the now late morning hours. The rain is lifting northward. Unfortunately for the mountains and the foothills, that's not good news because you're still getting in on this rain as what's left of Helene is back to the west of us, so it's pulling that moisture northward. So everywhere west of 77 is still in the rain. East of 77, it is really we're clearing out quickly now, and that is the good news. Still getting some big downpours in the mountains and also here in the Catawba River Valley. And keep in mind that rainwater all has to come down the Catawba chain. So that's the Catawba chain right there. All of this is going to be coming down. So as a result, places or rivers such as the Catawba and the South Fork, they're all going to be flooding for a long time. This is not going to be something that dissipates very quickly, though the rain will be shutting off as it lifts northward and drier air sweeps in. Still, though, big rains, flooding reports coming in from the mountains and thunderstorms to the east of us. But again, the drier air that I've been anticipating for the late morning, and here we are now at 10:31, is already working in, and that is good news. I think we're going to eventually shut off this rain. There will be some spotty showers this afternoon, but the sun will actually break through, and we'll probably wind up close to 80 degrees here this afternoon. Still have some gusty winds, though, into the 40 and 50 mile per hour range here. And the problem with that is where we have saturated ground, we're still getting trees to come down, and that will mean more power outages as we go through even into the afternoon hours. All right, that's the latest on the forecast right here, right now. I want to send it over to Alicia Wilson. She's got another check looking at this storm as well.
Well, Al, we continue to get in some of these local storm reports, and each one of these circles, I've been checking them out, and they're representing impassable roads due to all of the flooding rains that we've seen across the mountains, the foothills, and even farther south now into portions of Gaston, Cleveland County, getting up into the northern half of Mecklenburg County and also Cabarrus County. So we still have an ongoing flooding threat and ongoing flooding that's happening across portions of the mountains and the foothills, and we're still under a flood watch in many of these areas and a flash flood warning where you see each one of these white polygons as well. It looks like we'll start to see some of these tornado watches trim back, but for now we still have them in place until 6 o'clock this evening. Now the good news is our chances for showers and even thunderstorms is going to be going down for the rest of the day, and as Al mentioned earlier, we're going to get some breaks in those clouds and actually see some sunshine just in time for the weekend too. So by Saturday and Sunday we're mainly looking at a mix of sunshine and clouds, and our high temperatures staying on the warm side into the upper 70s and lower 80s, both for Saturday and Sunday.
Alicia, thank you. Yes, we know a lot of folks will be looking forward to a change in the weather. Right now, though, we want to look at some of the footage that some folks have been documenting. This is from former WBTV reporter David Wisnett. He said this was the 500 block of Statesville Boulevard in Rowan County. All lanes of Statesville Boulevard were closed earlier this morning. Looked like a tree may have fallen in the area, but you see first responders were out there. Of course, we're reaching out to a lot of these first responders and different law enforcement agencies, seeing if they can give us more information about some of these closures and how long they will last.
Yeah, from trees down on roads to just roadways closed. Interstate I-85 South in Gaston County is also shut down after an incident involving a semi-truck and a downed tree. This is closed lanes near exit 19 to Ozark Avenue. So if you are headed in that direction, you'll want to seek an alternate route. Police are not sure when the interstate will reopen, and many authorities are saying just avoid the roads altogether.
We're following another breaking story. We've seen trees down, as you noted, across the area. One of our colleagues, Jason Puckett, has been in one community impacted by this.
Yeah, Jason, you're live in Rock Hill, and we understand that York County deputies were helping to work this scene. What happened there this morning?
Yeah, Mary and Alex, I've just been able to speak with neighbors who gave us a bit more of a story about what happened here at this home off Poinsett Drive here in Rock Hill. We're going to show you a tree here fell on this house, quite obviously, basically taking out the upper right part of this two-story house. Now, what we knew earlier was that York County Sheriff had responded here about 6 a.m. to a call and had to rescue 2 people from this house. We've spoken with neighbors since who say right around 4:50, maybe 5 a.m., they heard that tree fall, actually heard children screaming and came over to help out. They said everyone in the household was pretty much okay except the father, who was rushed to the hospital in emergency conditions. They said that, you know, the children here were distraught that they were able to bring them over and help calm them down, that the pets were also taken care of out here. A pretty telling example out here, though, as we were driving through Rock Hill. Not that much overall damage, but then you see something like this that can just catastrophically damage a house and a family. What you're looking at here is basically a tree on a bedroom there on the upper right side part of the house. The outer wall of that room has actually fallen down and is facing towards us here on the front part of that lawn. And over here on the lawn beneath it, you can see a recliner and what looks like a cage for an animal in there. Again, after speaking with the sheriffs and the neighbors, we know that the parents were taken to the hospital to be checked out. The kids are okay, and that the pets are being taken care of by neighbors. We will, of course, give you an update as soon as we find out more on this situation, though. For now, here live in Rock Hill, Jason Puckett, WBTV, on your side.
Thinking about those folks. Thank you, Jason. Also getting some more images from Rock Hill for you. York Electric Cooperative sending up some pictures. Actually, this one photo, the first one there you saw, was from Van Wyck, so that's Lancaster County River Road, and they had some power lines down there also. As we're going back and forth between the two, the second photo that you see when you see all the emergency workers, that's Highway 274. Look at the tree resting on the power lines there, and all of the emergency vehicles they have to block that off. As York Electric Cooperative has reported, more than 33,000 customers for their co-op alone to be without power.
Right now, I believe we do have a live phone interview. We're going to bring in Porter Gable with York Electric Cooperative. She's joining us. Porter, thank you for being here. Can you hear us?
We can. Thank you for having me. And we also have our CEO, Craig Spencer, here on the phone.
Wow. Well, we appreciate both of you joining us. Thank you so much for the time.
And Porter, you were sending us these photos from your crews there on the scene. First, I just want to start with, is this what you all anticipated when it came to tracking Helene?
There's no way to anticipate a storm like this, Mary. We are very prepared in every way that we can be. We sharpened our chainsaws, but there's really no telling what Mother Nature is going to do. So the best that we can do is control how we respond and communicate and to stay safe as we restore service.
Porter, have you guys been able to get folks out and about yet? I know the worst of the storm was just in our area. Has the response happened yet?
Yes, sir. We have rolled trucks, and our crews are being dispersed across our service territory to assess the damage. But please do remember that we're a distribution cooperative, so we also have transmission lines served from our balancing authority, Duke Energy. So those transmission lines, the big wires, as we like to say, are down, so we can't restore our services until those repairs are made.
And we know they have more than 1.2 million customers without power right now as well. Craig, I want to bring you in too. Do you recall the last time that there were 33,000 York co-op members, I should say, without power from a storm?
No, ma'am. No one can remember that. This is the most meters that we have ever had. I've been here for a little over 32 years. I came after Hugo, but we only had about 20,000 meters during Hugo, and every one of those was out. But we're over 34,000 now.
Which is incredible perspective. Craig, we want to thank you and you, Porter, as well, and really your linemen that are out there. We know they're getting started on the work, but it feels like it's just getting underway. Certainly, Helene, bringing this punch that, like you said, you prepared for, but you can only do so much.
Yes. Thank you, Mary.
Thank you both.
Thank you.
Right now, we are getting pictures of storm damage from across the area. Monroe Police, they put this picture on Facebook showing a tree that fell on top of a car out that way. This is Maurice Street. Officers say power lines were down in the area as well. Maurice Street to Wolf Pond Road and Hamilton Street in Monroe closed for the rest of the day because of situations like that.
And this picture as well, a viewer sending us this video from Blowing Rock, just puts into perspective when you're seeing the high winds, you're seeing the sideways rain, you know what the power lines are up against, and you know what homes are up against when all of this picks up the way that it has. And we have been talking with the County Emergency Management Director there. In Watauga County, they say most roads are completely undrivable. A lot of people are offline, have no power, and swiftwater rescue teams are out right now working to evacuate people who need that help. So we're going to keep you updated on the situation in Watauga County as that develops as well.
Continuing our coverage this morning, we're getting more context on what the storm can teach us in case another tropical storm of this size approaches in the near future.
A former administrator for FEMA who now lives in Hickory says Helene is a lesson for preparedness, not just for folks who live near the water.
The biggest reminder is that hurricanes are not just coastal events. I mean, here I am, an hour north of Charlotte, North Carolina, and Hickory, North Carolina. I'm in Hickory, and we've been seeing rainfall and high winds since yesterday, flooding in the North Carolina mountains, as Helene was well offshore.
Another bit of positive news from him is that FEMA seems to be ahead of the storm's impact, at least according to him, and he says they're in a good spot to respond to a lot of the issues.
If you were with us earlier this morning, though, we were showing you some video from Tampa and the storm surge and how it was reaching those storm surge protector walls around the hospital there in the bay. Well, they say it should be a wake-up sign for people who live along any coastline to have robust evacuation plans if needed.
Right now, we want to jump to the high country. King Street in Boone, that's one of the spots we've been taking a look at throughout the morning. Looks like the camera shot might be frozen right now, but you can still see all the water that is on King Street flooding underway.
You can imagine why it would be frozen given the images that we're seeing coming out of there. And I want to get to Chief Meteorologist Al Conklin because Al, hearing people talk about this online, saying never seen King Street look like that.
Never have, and I think that's why this is going to be one of these disasters that has a long-lasting impact because you're going to clean this up, but again, there's going to be a lot of debris and a lot of wet stuff, a lot of flooding in a lot of these homes and businesses that we're seeing all across the area. Heavy rain coming down right now in Taylorsville. That's Courthouse Park from resortcams.com, so I'm watching that area. We're still tracking rain here early this morning. Now, the heaviest is still up across the mountains in the foothills. In fact, there's a big cell going right out of Taylorsville and Alexander County now. Still getting big downpours around Boone, but I am also optimistic. We're starting to see some breaks in the cloud cover south of Charlotte, and as this thing pulls away, I think we're going to see some sunshine this afternoon. We'll have your complete forecast when we come back.
The future of television has arrived. Next Gen TV is here. Immerse yourself in
there. Water is rushing over that road. This is exactly what officials don't want you driving through. Riverside, Lake Drive, River Haven, and parts of Hart Road, they are all part of that mandatory evacuation zone and all part of that alert that just went out moments ago telling people to move to higher ground. Eric Jenderson, however, he's a homeowner I spoke to a minute ago. He's not going anywhere. That's because this rebuilt home now sits 12 feet in the air after the devastating flood in 2019 destroyed his home.
What happened in 2019 was similar to this, except the water level would have covered the top of that dock house, if you can see that in the back. By the next morning, the dock itself was sitting on top of the roof. So this was completely submerged underwater.
That water you see under his home could yet rise further. Duke Energy warned people around the lake to expect it to hit a historic height of 110 feet today. That is 10 feet over the max. We're going to keep monitoring those levels. You can too. Duke Energy is updating its lake levels on its website right now. And again, I cannot emphasize enough, if you're getting alerts to move out and find higher ground, you should be doing that right away. Reporting live in Northwest Charlotte, Naomi Coles, WBTV on your side.
All right, let's take a look at what's going on here weather-wise. Now, one of the things I want to point out what Naomi was talking about is we've been watching the lake levels at Mountain Island Lake, the spillway just below that, and it's only been inching up. It's now 103.7, which is in flood stage. It's over 100, but the thing is, she's talking about them opening the gates at Cowan's Ford Dam, which cuts across 73, right there where Mecklenburg and Lincoln County come together. And if, in fact, that's what Duke's going to do, which tells me that Lake Norman is probably starting to get full, when they do that, you're going to see the lake level at Mountain Island jump appreciably. And so that flood warning is with good reason. You're going to see that lake level rise very quickly. And just south of the spillway in Mount Holly, there's been flooding and there's going to be additional flooding. So we're still watching this here this morning. The heaviest of the rain is up here now across the mountains. I'm encouraged that we're seeing less rain in Charlotte, but that doesn't mean that the flood threat is mitigated, because all this water that's here, that's part and parcel, it's all tied together. Part of the issue here is that all this is tied through that Catawba River chain, and all this water is going to come right down across that river right there and down into Mecklenburg County eventually, and then point southward. It'll go right into South Carolina as well. So all the water has to come down. Meantime, we're seeing unbelievable tornado risk that's unfolding here across the eastern part of North Carolina, up on the Virginia line and all the way down towards the Wilmington area. So that band thankfully bypassed Charlotte and the WBTV viewing area. It's more rain and wind that we're dealing with right now. I am encouraged, though. I think we will see some sunshine breaking through those clouds as we go deeper into the afternoon, and we should see our rain chances whittle away. Now, they're not going to go zero, but they will be much lower this afternoon, and that's the good news. But again, if you've got flooding in your neighborhood, it's going to take time for that all to settle on down. Meantime, gusts to 40, 50 miles per hour in the mountains, and still getting 40-plus mile per hour wind gusts here in the Charlotte area. Those will slowly die on down as we go deeper into the afternoon, and that's better news as we look at the weekend. And I'm going to bring in Alicia to talk a little bit more about that.
Thanks, Al. That's right. We've got the rain and the wind that we're dealing with right now, but this is really going to start to taper off as we head towards the afternoon and evening hours, especially. I want to show you what it's going to look like over the next 12 hours here. You can see how our rain chances are going to drop from 60% down to 20% and eventually 10%. So that means just a few sprinkles, spritz and spritzes before we see some peaks of sunshine to wrap up this Friday afternoon and evening. Heading towards the weekend, we'll see a mix of sunshine and clouds, high temperatures into the lower 80s, both for Saturday and Sunday. So that's going to spell good news for the Panthers game. 7-day forecast, rain chances really drop to a minimum there. Only a 20% chance for a stray shower on Monday. And as we go throughout most of next week, we're looking at dry conditions and those temperatures staying on the mild side.
All right, before we go to break, just leaving you with this live picture. We got that still picture unfrozen. So now you're getting a live look at King Street in Boone, a site we have never seen like this before. And that's what Helene is bringing to our area. Don't drive through those waters, turn around. Oh.
We just got the flash flood warnings on our phones too here in Mecklenburg County.
More news updates and weather updates next. Stay with us.
The skills you develop as a soldier in the Army National Guard give you a head start on your career. Gain practical experience with technology and equipment that will give you a leg up in the civilian world. Learn critical leadership skills and to be part of a team. Serve your community and your country part-time while earning money for an education. Visit NationalGuard.com.
area, but it is away from us right now, and I don't think the risk for severe weather here is going to be all that great, and that's good news. We are starting to see, again, on this visible satellite, this drier air that's trying to sweep in from the south. So over time, I do think we will see, and I'm encouraged that I think we will get a lessening of the rain and breaks. The heaviest rain is in the mountains now. That will move northward, and we should be in much better shape going into the afternoon hours and certainly over the course of the weekend. Now, that doesn't mean the flooding is going to go right away, but we are going to see much better conditions here with with temperatures in the 80s for the foreseeable future, and that is certainly good news. Again, big problem is, as we heard from our Naomi Coles, that again, flooding on Mountain Island Lake is going to be an ongoing issue here. I'm thinking that they're getting ready soon to start letting water out of Lake Norman, which hasn't been the case, and that's going to bring those water levels up in a big way.
Something we are watching closely for you. We're also expecting to hear from Governor Roy Cooper here at 11 a.m., so stay with us. We'll bring that to you live on air and online.
Mary, before we go away, we're getting some information from the Rutherford County Emergency Manager, Jonathan Manis, which says the Lake Lure Dam is going to fail. It's imminent. Lake Lure Dam in Rutherford County, an imminent failure is expected there from Jonathan Manis, who is the emergency manager out there. So it's just beyond our viewing area, but we know a lot of you live out that way. Watch us on Rabbit Ears, and also a lot of folks vacation out there. You know it. Lake Lure Dam, imminent failure on that dam.
Thank you for the update. We'll be back.
General. When I was a prosecutor, I'd always give an opening statement, so here it is. I'm running to keep you and your family safe from fentanyl, violent crime, scammers, and corrupt politicians. As a prosecutor, I put away violent criminals. As a soldier, I served with the Army in Afghanistan.
Hi everybody, this is your 2-minute warning. Reporters on the line, you can press 1 for a question.